One of our best conversations.
All right. There it is. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Between a Pot and a Hard Place. I'm Stephen Colton.
And I'm Christopher Pepper.
Yeah, and we were not here last week, which it was kind of nice to take a little break, I think.
I think it was a well-deserved time off.
Yeah, and I was tempted tonight. I was like, no, I don't want to do this, but I do want to do this. I've just been getting up at 6, at 5 to 5:30 every morning for the last week. And I'm just starting to get used to it.
You will. That's typically just about my schedule too. So I'm a fellow sufferer.
I used to hate it. I still don't love it, but getting up at 5, and I realize I'm dragging, and I'm just like, I don't want to go. But then once I get off work by 3 o'clock, I'm just, I have an entire day. Now all these losers have to work, and I don't.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a perk.
Yeah, I mean, it gives me the freedom to just kind of do whatever I want with the daytime, which I love. I love nights. I love coming home and it being late and binge watching whatever late at night and then not having to, I don't know what it is about the darkness. Maybe it's just growing up, going to the movies where the room's dark and you're watching a movie. It just seems like when the sun's beaming through your window and you're watching TV, it's not as enjoyable as if it's pitch black dark out. I don't know. But yeah, I'm getting used to it, I think.
Yeah, there's always that adjustment period.
And as soon as I get used to it, I'm probably going to have to go on a night shift. Probably. Where it's you're going to work until 11 p.m. every night.
Right.
Which that's neat. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the job itself is not typically the job I would want. I mean, convenience store working, clerk again. Which is kind of funny. There's a little bit of a crossover. I haven't done it yet, but this store actually makes pizzas.
Oh, wow.
So there's going to be I'm going to become not only a clerk, but I'm also going to become a Northwood Pie kind of guys. And if you guys are out there watching, or if you see this later, hashtag Northwood Pie. I mean, right. Love the movie. And I'm already ill prepared today because I don't have little Twitters ready to go for later. Yeah. But I can pull that up later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't made any of the pizzas yet, but I don't know how far across the country it goes, but a lot of gas stations, they have this brand of pizza, the Hunt Brothers Pizza, I think it's called.
Okay.
And it's a lot of these smaller convenience stores, not small, but local. I'm assuming local. I haven't been that far out. But they're, they come in, the crust is pre-made. I think it's not cooked, but it's preset into a shape. And you just fill in the toppings. And I haven't learned all of that yet. They also have chicken sandwiches, wings, all these other foods you wouldn't really think, but it's not a massive store, but there's a lot of stuff, a lot of food. And that's an entire job alone is just the kitchen.
Right.
And it's really intimidating. You walk back there, my first day there, everybody's like, oh, let's introduce you to this person and that person. This is the kitchen. This is a pizza cooker. This is this. I'm there's so much food laying around everywhere. There's little bits of steak for the little Philly cheesesteak sandwiches that they make. And then there's these little chicken wings sitting on a tray. And then there's these pizzas that are sitting over here. All this stuff going on with one person doing it all. And it's
wow.
I hope this is never me. I'm not... I don't see myself as that.
Is that essentially what they want to work you to? Is to be able to go to work with the food?
I think they want everybody to know a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Because during the week, I think Monday through Friday, there is in the daytime hours, there is one person dedicated to that, and then there's two cash registers. One is dedicated to lottery. So it's that's what I've been doing, which I like it. A lot of people would not love that because you're stuck there. You can't move. You're there all day, which I really love that because I don't have to do all the other crazy stuff. And there's also another register that's kind of you're there, but then you're also in the evening hours going to back and throwing a few pizzas on and then right. Getting those ready. And if somebody calls in before a certain time in the evening, say 4 o'clock, they go, hey, I want a pizza, large pepperoni, this. So you got to go back there and make that. So I haven't done that yet. I think they really want me to master one thing before moving me around to something else and something else.
So you guys take orders for pizza too?
They do, actually. There's been a couple of times since I've worked there that someone has called in over the phone and says, like, I want this. And they also have these little forms, these little, not a menu, but like a little form that you just fill out, like pepperoni, sausage. You just fill it out and like, well, I don't know if the customer fills it out, like you fill it out as an employee, and then they make that pizza. And they're cheap pizzas. It's not like, I wouldn't say it's a Northwood pizza kind of thing or any kind of local pizza shop or even a chain pizza. It's more, it is technically a chain, but it's more gas station pizza, but it is still good pizza. I've eaten several of them over the years and they're pretty good. But yeah, I think eventually everybody's going to be trained in all areas, so that, you know, my main area I've already been told is going to be like the lottery, which I'm fine with, because, you know, I would rather stay in one spot and then help endless amounts of people, because at the end of the day, well, I felt like I've been there for 2 hours and I've been there for 8.
Right.
So it goes by super quick. And I just finished.
Yeah.
What's that?
No, I just was going to say that it sounds like you're in the perfect spot, especially if you're getting started.
Yeah, and I mean, I know eventually I'm going to get comfortable with what I'm doing now, and then they're going to be like, okay, today you learned pizza. I'm like, no, I quit. Nothing against pizza. I've never really cooked food that someone later bought. So, I mean, I guess technically that's a lie, because I put hot dogs on the little metal roller things. So I guess that's technically cooking food for people.
Yeah, technically.
But I mean, you know, the thing does all the work. But yeah, I know, and I'm not going to complain too hard when I do have to learn these things. I'm just going to do really bad at it so that they won't ask me to do it again. Maybe spit on the pizza or something like that. No, I would never ruin a pizza. Never. But no, for the amount of money they pay, which is, you know, like $16 an hour for this type of work, even though there's all that other stuff involved, it's still worth the money. And it's unbelievable that a job pays that well for what it is.
Well, I was worried when you first mentioned it, because wasn't there another time where you had taken a job and they offered you a good pay rate, and they said up to your starting pay?
That was like the 16 was actually the starting pay.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it's a full-time gig, and I get paid weekly, so I really can't complain, even if they want me to go outside and, you know, wash the ground with a toothbrush after I don't know, dust every little thing for 2 hours. Like that would be worth $16 an hour, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so
I will say it's crazy. My oldest daughter got her first job outside of our house.
Oh, wow.
She works for the CAPS after school program.
Okay.
And so she's a youth worker working with elementary school kids, but she makes $16 an hour.
That's amazing.
I know. I keep thinking, how much money did I make on my first job at McDonald's?
Oh, wow.
I made $4.25 an hour. And I thought I had struck it rich.
Yeah, I think my first job was in high school. I washed dishes at a nursing home kitchen, and I think I made $7 an hour, maybe, or $6.50, something like that.
It's crazy. It's crazy. But I think people are finally getting paid what they deserve.
Yeah, slowly. I mean, it's starting. It's actually kind of funny, because the gas station my roommate lives in, he doesn't live there, he works there. I used to work there years ago, and at the time they were paying like 10, 11, whatever. Now they're paying 14, and I'm like, oh, I want to go back there so bad. I want to go back there. And then I found the 16. I'm just like, okay, never mind. I'm good. Like, I don't know. It is very high volume, like heavy rate of like traffic. We are literally, I think, not technically part of the airport here, but it's on the airport property. It's literally right there on the driveway coming out of like the rental car area at the airport. Okay. And so we have a lot of traffic coming from that. A lot of airport employees, several TSA, and lots and lots and lots of FedEx and Amazon drivers. Apparently there's, you know, a FedEx center distribution, whatever, somewhere nearby, and there's also an Amazon factory, which I mean, I guess it's more of a warehouse than a factory, but they have one really close, like a mile or two away. So there's tons of that. And without those two companies, if those two companies went out of business today, we would probably lose like half the business.
Oh yeah,
because that's these drivers getting cigarettes or lottery or food, mostly food, to be honest. Because you don't see a lot of FedEx guys smoking while they're driving down doing deliveries, but they get off work, they come in and buy like beer or whatever.
right.
And there's also a bar inside the gas station where people come and actually can sit and drink and eat pizza that they order from across the store.
I mean, you're essentially working in a restaurant. I mean, that's what it seems like.
I mean, it kind of like just the first gas station I ever saw. Well, not the first, but the first one I ever worked at that actually had like an on-site consumption permit where you can actually come in and sit and drink out. It's not like you can go to the little cooler and open it up and get a 6-pack and then pay for it and then go over there and open it up and drink it. But I think you probably have to buy the drinks at the bar. But still, I haven't worked that either. But it's not some big fancy bar where they're like mixing drinks all science and stuff. It's just like, oh, let me open this cooler and give you one, or they have a little draft beer that they pour and give to you, but then you can, take orders on food and stuff. But I look at all those things that I haven't done yet now. They kind of intimidate me. I'm like, oh no, that's so scary. Emptying a garbage can. Oh gosh. But $16. I keep telling myself anytime I doubt anything or feel overwhelmed or nervous that I'm going to do bad, I just think 16. And I know when that first Friday payday comes around, I'm going to go, okay, I love this job.
Yeah.
Because it'll be more real.
Right. It does put all of it in perspective.
Yeah.
So I'm going to call out the obvious about your faith.
Yeah. And that was, I know I posted about it, like, what was it? Like almost a week ago.
Right.
When I put it on there and everybody reacted to it and stuff. I didn't initially plan. Actually, I did plan it this time. Normally, I don't plan on it, and I feel weird still looking at myself right now. Just like, oh, let me, everybody cut a mouth hole in here. I'm going to start wearing a fake beard for the show. But no, I mean, the mask thing is the biggest part of it because these masks, this random one I have sitting here, I've not been wearing this one. But like they fit so much better on my face when there's not like, say, 4 inches of hair.
Right.
Because when it gets so long, it starts pushing out, and I'm always like, hello, oh, hold on. Oh, hello, oh, hold on.
It's like,
and it's just so much, and it's so much easier just to cut it off. You're
going to keep it like that?
Probably, at least for now. I'm already growing it back, but I think I'm going to keep it a lot shorter than it was. And I found out I went and actually got a haircut for the first time in like over a year the other day. Because I can't wear a hat at work. I love wearing hats. I don't know. I'm a hat person. And I don't know. It's like I'm so used to it's all messed up from the hat. And I'm like losing my hair anyway, which is like maybe that's one of the reasons I like wearing hats. But, it's nice not to because it gets kind of longer and I just like it irritates me and it creates issues with the mask. And I was like, well, let me just get the haircut. And then before I got the haircut, I shaved the beard that morning because I didn't think they did beard trims anymore. I used to go and pay like the $5 or whatever and get it trimmed.
Right.
And I assumed, with COVID restrictions, they don't do it. But they told me like, yeah, we do that. I'm just like, that still seems kind of sketchy. Like, let me take my mask off and you just be right here on my face, cutting my beard. It's like, I don't know.
Or maybe they're like, they're turned sideways, their arm is sticking out, and they're just kind of like,
Yeah, or they're just like hold your breath and hold your nose, like
right.
I mean, or just like put or earplugs up your nose when you're getting it cut. I don't know.
I mean, I've really been lucky that my wife has cut my hair since we've been together, and so I have not been to a barber. I've been to a barbershop maybe, I don't know, 5 times in the last 20 years. So that's been convenient. And she takes care of my facial hair half the time.
Yeah, it's a while for me, mostly because of partially because of COVID and stuff. But then I don't know, the last 2 or 3 haircuts before COVID, I just shaved it all off myself. Because I was like, let me save, say, $15 just to, shave it off. I don't have to worry about it. It's free. Or maybe the 13 cents in electricity I spend using the little clipper thing. But I don't know. And so with the beard, I was just like, okay, haircut, I might as well do the beard and just get rid of it. And it makes it easier. I was actually kind of nervous about a haircut because the straps on the masks. I was like, how do they work around that? And they kind of just pull the loop. It was really awkward, but they pull the loop off of you and then cut and then put it back without taking it off of you. So I was like, okay, they still have to get a little close, but I felt a little bit better about it because I've had the first vaccine and, I've had it once already. Not that I'm immune, but like I think there is a certain level of immunity there. Since it was mid to late January when I got it the first time. So
right.
I think I'm safe. I haven't noticed anything else. But yeah, it's crazy to think how much time has passed since we had a last episode. A lot to talk about, and I guess I just wanted to talk about the job for a little bit because
you just started a new job, and it's a big deal for you, and just kind of getting used to that routine. So, and
hopefully, I mean, we were gonna announce this, but then I thought about waiting. We're planning on moving the show to an earlier time, but that's not gonna be immediately. I don't think. I wasn't gonna bring it up at all, but then I was like, I'll just talk about it because if I stay on a morning schedule and get off at say 2-3 p.m. depending on the day, then it'd be easier to do the show earlier, and I think it'd be more fun. And a lot of people on the West Coast are like, man, I'm busy at like 5 o'clock or whatever to watch this or whatever. And I thought if it's earlier, that kind of like proves what I was saying wrong. Never mind. I was like, if we do it later, that would make more sense what I was saying. But it would just be a little bit easier for me sometimes to do it earlier if I have to get up at 5 a.m. But then again, I'm not in the bed until like 11 or so anyway, so it doesn't matter. But we're looking at that. And it's funny because next week I actually have a later Sunday, which I was like, okay.
We're not changing our schedule right now.
Not yet, because I think next week I have a later Sunday, so I'm not sure on Sundays if they're going to keep me at a later time or an earlier time. I don't want to like make any kind of decisions at all yet because, I don't want to make one decision and then everything changes.
Yeah, 5:30 has worked really well for us for a while.
I don't really see a need to change it, to be honest. I mean, I thought about it because it would be easier for me around, like, I don't know what, 6, or I mentioned 6 or 7 Eastern, or to do it just a little bit earlier. But really, if I wasn't doing this right now, I would just be in there watching TV or something. So it's like I'm still going to be awake. It's not like it's keeping me up later in the day. So I think maybe I'll just leave it alone. Probably shouldn't have even brought it up at all, but it was on my mind. I was just like, listen to this, folks. Never mind. Forget that. But I don't know. But yeah, we got to get into some Flash. I feel like we should talk about the Flash.
Okay. I think we can definitely talk about the Flash.
Yeah.
It's one of those shows that my wife and I have been watching pretty regularly the last couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest developments that we've had with the Flash have been around with this speed moth, right? Nora Allen. Yeah. And we've always seen the Speed Force take on the appearance of Barry's mother. It's not the first time, but this is really the first that we've seen her outside of the Speed Force itself.
Yeah.
But I do feel like she's messing with him on purpose. Like whenever she's around, she seems. That's when Barry's powers go haywire.
It is true.
And again, she seems very intent on making sure that Barry gets more speed. Right? This is like every bad guy we've ever seen. That has been their MO, is their desire to increase Barry's speed so they can end up stealing it from him.
That's true. I mean, and along with that theme, it's always the trustworthy person. Like, oh, no, there's no way this person will turn on us, only to turn on them.
Right.
So I mean, that's a very good point. Like something I didn't notice until you had mentioned that a while back. I was like, you're right, because they always have somebody that is their friend, and then I thought that was going to be Nash, not Nash, but I guess Harrison Wells. I don't know what to call this guy. They all have like a nickname, like HR, Harry, Nash. Now it's just, I guess we'll just have to call him Harrison. I don't know. You haven't seen that guy again. He kind of disappeared after the first episode. Well, not the first episode, but maybe it was the first. I assumed he'd be back by now because that was the finale for season 6. Technically, what they had planned as the finale, and then it was, of course, like the first, or what was it, like maybe the third episode of this new season. And I thought maybe by like episode 6 or 7 he'd be back, and we haven't seen him yet. But somebody pointed out, the 90s episode was kind of fun. It's a little bit different than what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be more of an actual time travel, more so than just, okay, we're going to place you in this timeline, but we're going to reverse this one thing instead of all time.
Right.
And that's explained all the set photos of like Joe from like the 50s and then Iris from like the 70s or 60s. You're like, okay, they can't all be in different timelines because they're on the same room. So what's going on here? And we learn it's the still force.
Right.
Which is kind of interesting. And somebody else pointed out something I didn't notice when I watched the episode. The green glow that this guy puts off when he, zaps you or whatever was the same green glow we saw on Harrison Wells. And that was a very big detail that I never caught. I was like, wait a minute. So somehow, I keep wanting to call him Nash. I don't know why. But somehow, Wells is tied into that, I think. Which is going to be interesting to see how.
Well, we already know that Nash disappeared and essentially went back in time to be with his wife while she was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we know that's the reason why he isn't with them, is because he went back in time to spend time with his wife.
And it would make sense if this new Wells or this old Wells was the Still Force, just how Nora Allen is the Speed Force, but we know that that's not the case. So it's like, how is he also, unless there's the Still Force as 2 pieces, maybe? Either way, we know there's a lot more story with that coming up that could go.
I mean, they certainly have witnessed or kind of introduced, these different embodiments of the forces, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's the Speed Force, there's the Still Force, there's the Strength Force.
Yeah, there's the Love Force. There's we are the Flash Force.
Isn't there the Speed Force too?
Yeah, it was Still Force, Speed Force. I already forgot the other 2 again. Strength Force, yeah, and then the Sage Force, yeah. Which is really neat. I kind of like where they're going with the whole 4 forces kind of thing. And I know I didn't really read a lot of Flash comics, but apparently that is a direct story from the comics, which is really neat. And I don't know if I'm a big fan of Nora, though, honestly, because she really seems, like I mentioned, I think we had talked about it online, how I thought she was more like an annoying soccer mom. Like, I'm waiting for her to give everybody juice and cookies at the end of the episode, because it's like, Barry, are you okay? Are you okay? And then she gets like, she could tell like she embarrasses Barry, so she zips away. And my question, too, is if the Speed Force could always be there physically, why is she just now doing it? Why? I mean, Zoom, Thawne, like all these villains, all these times he almost got defeated. Why wasn't the Speed Force there to help him and hold his hand through that?
Right.
Why now?
And I think that what we see here really is Barry's kind of decision to kind of recreate the Speed Force. I think that is really what has caused a lot of it.
Yeah, there's more of a bond, I guess, more of a connection.
Well, and I think more of a release, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the last season, right, we had seen those 4 colors emerge from Star Labs, and with that, we see the arrival of this personification of the Speed Force as Nora. I think for Barry, it's tough because, Nora, even though he knows that it's not his mother, she is still a very physical reminder of what he's lost. And
Right.
I think also Barry has learned, to run away from his problems sometimes, so to speak.
Yeah.
He hasn't needed a mom. As much as he misses her, he's learned to live without her. And now the Speed Force is almost trying to fill that spot in his life. But I also feel like she's trying a bit too hard.
Yeah. And that makes me wonder. I mean, is this just one of those like weird writing situations where they just want to make her a clingy mom? And the thought also occurred to me, like, is Barry's mother really the Speed Force? Because, we didn't see her until really that night where Reverse Flash came back. Like, she died at that moment. And then no time during the Flash was she there or seen until after he goes into the Speed Force. So maybe the Speed Force, she is part of it. I'm waiting for a weird twist to this. I mean, I don't think it goes that deep. I don't think his mother is actually in the Speed Force, but it's interesting to see why the Speed Force chooses that form. And, I guess because it knows that like that would be the one form it could take that would get him to pay attention or listen or whatever.
I believe that's true for the Runaway Dinosaur, right? That episode where they first really introduced Nora Allen as being the embodiment of the Speed Force, or one of the faces that the Speed Force took.
Yeah, and that's actually one of my favorite episodes for a few reasons.
Right, Kevin Smith's involvement.
Yeah, he didn't write it, but he directed it, and it was his first episode that he directed of The Flash, of any CW show, actually, I think. And I think it was great. A lot of people kind of trash talk that episode. Like, oh, it's just people standing around talking. Oh, I don't want to watch Clerks. I want to watch The Flash. I mean, I get it. There was not a lot of action in that episode, but I think it was a really good story. It really made a lot of sense. He didn't write it or anything, so it's not really his fault what happens, but I just think it was a good episode. And like the whole thing at the end where he puts the book on the grave and it's the first time he sees the grave, and I'm just like, oh, stop it. I can't take it. Oh, it's so much, but it's so good.
I really felt like it was one of those moments that Barry had been needing for a long time.
Yeah.
That ability for him to finally, just admit what he had lost, and finally heal,
accept it, move on from it, grow from it.
I really feel like a lot of that was tied up in it, and
for sure.
I still feel like though that there's certainly more to that Nora character as the Speed Force than she's letting on.
I think so. I mean, whether it's maybe the Speed Force is hurt still in some way and trying to heal, maybe the Speed Force is evil, maybe the Speed Force is bipolar. I don't know. Like maybe it's going through its own emotions. Like, does the Speed Force have emotions? I don't think so, but I still think Thawne is connected somewhere in this.
Yeah.
Whether or not like he's part of it, I think maybe he's taking the form of Nora to trick Barry. I think on the surface that's what it seems like, but then there also might still be a twist or a little swerve there where maybe Thawne comes in and says, Barry, face it, you hate me, but you have to take my help to fix the Speed Force. It's going to be one of those two things, I think. It just has to be.
I feel like we've watched the show enough that it's a typical trope that they use, that the one person that all the characters seem to trust is the person who ultimately ends up stabbing them in the back. And it's just really common. I hate that I feel that way, but that's the way that it is. I do think it's interesting. We've seen Nora run at this point a couple of times. And what did you notice about her lightning?
I noticed it was not yellow, really. I mean, it kind of was. Was it like more of a white color or a blue?
It looked to me like there were different colors.
Yeah. I noticed like a lighter color. I don't know if there's a little glimpse of red in there somewhere. I think there might have been. It was kind of like a multicolored lightning.
it does make me wonder how connected to the other forces Nora is. That's that's what I'm curious about.
And it did seem kind of like sketchy where she was talking about how like those other forces they beat me up, and they're like, "Are you sure?" She's like, "Oh yeah, I'm sure." Like it's like she was trying to hide the fact that she skipped school or something, you know. And it seemed kind of innocent, but at the same time, it's like why do you seem like you're in denial or hiding something, like, or maybe the Speed Force attacked all of them, and in that process was hurt. There's definitely, like you said, there's definitely something more to that.
Right now, what we've seen of the other forces, particularly the Strength Force and the Still Force, they seem to be rather antagonistic, right? They're kind of playing their part of being something that the team should really be afraid of. In that regard, it makes Nora, Speed Mom, seem like, I'm trying to think about how to refer to her.
Like, Nora, Speed Force, Mrs. Force.
Right. Speed Force Mom, I guess, might be the best one. But it makes it seem like she's telling the truth. Considering how aggressive they are and how dangerous they are. But I really do, like you're saying, I really feel like there's a lot more with that storyline than meets the eye.
And it's the same kind of deception we saw with Thawne Wells, or Wellsabard, as some people have called him, in season 1, where there was a perfectly reasonable reason why he would have been in a wheelchair, you know, and yet, perfect deception. The guy in the wheelchair couldn't possibly be the fastest villain alive.
Right.
And so, I mean, I'm just ready to see more. And I know I think they're going to take a short break at some point coming up. I've already lost track of all the shows except for Flash. I know Superman and Lois now is on a break until May, and I'm pretty sure Batwoman is still, or is about to be. I kind of lost track of that one.
Batwoman is still going on.
Okay, good. I think I don't know if I caught up on that one. I might have missed last week.
I'll do my best to kind of recap for you either way. I did want to, before we moved on, because I feel like we're slowly segueing away from Flash.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you, honest question. How do you feel about Chester?
I kind of like Chester. I don't know what it is about him. I like him. I think, and it's more than just like, oh, it's Black Cisco. It's not really that. It's like, I think you have two different personalities, but you have a lot of similarities between the two. It's like Cisco finally has a goofy buddy. That's another dude. That's not not a female character. That's kind of like snarky, like, oh, Cisco, you'd be hot if you weren't so nerdy. Or like, you know, it's like an actual friend he could hang out with. And Barry was his best friend, but like Barry was different. It wasn't the same. So it was almost like, I don't know. It's like Barry was maybe Cisco's work friend, and then like Chester seems like maybe his like roommate or something, you know. They just seem, for some reason, they seem a little closer. They have the comedic personality along with the intelligence, where Barry wasn't quite so funny. He was just smart, but yet still not as smart as Cisco. So it was like he was on a different level. I don't know. It's something about him. Like, I don't know if he's smarter than Cisco, which sometimes I think he is, and sometimes I think maybe he's not. I think he had a really good story in that episode. I think, you know, seeing his dad and everything, even though I'm still confused as to whether or not, okay, here's more time travel confusion. Did they actually travel to that time, or did that time travel to them? Like, I don't know, but I like to think that they just rewinded that moment in that you're in this little time pod where everything in this little bubble was in the past, but everything around it down the street. Because we saw, he's like, they under the dome dust or whatever, when they couldn't get through the little thing. And how about the blockbuster? I love that part. Anyway, but yeah, I really like Chester. I think
I thought that the previous weeks, the time travel week, was that moment for Chester that we really needed, right?
Yeah,
we had been really desperate to find a reason to like him, and they really gave him that moment, especially when he gets to spend time with his dad, who he had kind of felt like his dad had abandoned him. And so I thought that had been a neat, touching moment that he had really become who he was,
Yeah.
in large part because of his father's influence.
And I think like the little nerdy like Easter egg moment for me in that episode was the Blockbuster building was also the Talon from Smallville.
Right.
That was that, and I think I might have mentioned that before, but I just love that fact.
Yeah. I think my problem though is that episode aside, I feel like they still don't know how to use him. I feel like in a lot of the episodes they've got, they either write for Cisco,
Yeah,
or write for Chester, and to me he seems very, very insecure, very dorky,
yeah,
and he comes across to me as just trying too hard. And
I think so. Yeah,
so I don't know. Part of me wonders, what happened to Cisco.
yeah, it's like he's always gone like every other week. Because this past week we noticed he wasn't there, and it was like, where'd you go? Like, why are you always leaving all the time? Maybe he went back into that time warp bubble to go run a movie at Blockbuster. I mean, I don't know. I think, yeah, that was like, I think that episode is like the one time where they kind of had a good story together. But aside from that, you're right. Like, I think Chester is trying too hard. And I think that was okay the first few weeks he was on the show, like last season, especially when he was in that weird, like, black hole coma kind of thing. That was fine. And then once he came out of that, he was like awkwardly trying to fit in. But now it's like, dude, you've been part of the team for like a few months now. Kind of,
Yeah, he should have kind of relaxed into things a little bit. But they keep writing him as this very dorky, insecure genius.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's who he's supposed to be, but at the same time, you want to see development in the character. You don't want to see the same character from start to finish.
Right. And maybe we will see that as time goes on.
I think so. Maybe Cisco's about to die, and he's like, "Hold on, I'm tough. Let me help you."
I love Cisco.
I do.
I love him. I mean, I just feel like the comedy relief, the what he brings to the team. He really is integral to how things operate. We haven't brought it up yet, but one of the major events that happened in the last episode was, Frost.
Yeah.
Essentially goes rogue and tries to find, this other ice killer.
Oh gosh, what was his name?
It was kind of a corny name. It was Chillbane.
Yeah, Chillbane. That's right.
Yeah.
It's weird I forgot that. It's so cheesy.
I had to go back and rewatch it just to make sure. It was Chill Blaine because his name was Blaine.
Okay.
I thought it was Chillbane, which
I did too.
Like he is the Bane of Ice or something. But no, it was Chill Blaine.
So is he literally chilling like a villain?
I guess so.
I mean, they did have a 90s episode before that, so here's your catchphrase back 90s. I mean,
that's bad.
I like the character enough. I thought he was cool. And I was just thinking about the Frost stuff too. Because like now, it's like there's two, we mentioned it before, but there's two completely different kids. There's Caitlin and Frost. There's two different, they were going to use the Firestorm Matrix to merge them back. And they were like, no, and she like destroys it. It's like, I want to be my own person. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I love how they have, and I was really interested because before the season started, I had, been reading, following Pagey on Twitter and seeing his videos. He had mentioned, I think different details that he reads, and they were mentioning how Danielle Pennebaker was talking about what she thought of the character going forward this season and how when she saw it, she really loved it and laughed and thought this was going to be awesome. And I was like, ooh, what are they doing different with that character? Right. And then I find out it's like, oh yes, they're splitting them. That's amazing.
Well, and you consider, I think what Killer Frost has realized for herself is that even despite the good things that she's done, she still has done a lot of bad.
Mm-hmm.
And she deserves to be punished for that.
She does.
And I think she realized that if she didn't turn herself in, then Caitlin was going to end up being stuck in prison.
Yeah. And I think, like, they could, that, yeah, at first I was like, well, why can't you just come up and say, like, look, I'm not Caitlin, look at me, and slap Caitlin in the face to prove, like, hey, we're two different people.
Right.
And that would have freed Caitlin, but then there were still the charges, like, they saw Killer Frost do these things. They saw her on video and all this stuff, so there's no denying, like, hey, that wasn't me. But the one thing I'm embarrassed to say that I got confused with, I mixed up original Earth 2 Killer Frost with our Frost, because when Barry says, Killer, like, Frost never killed anybody, I'm like, dude, you're lying. She killed tons of people. But I was like, wait a minute, this version of Frost hasn't killed anybody. And I couldn't believe that I didn't realize that. It just seems like, you're a killer.
Right.
But she didn't. So I'm like, is what she did really that bad?
Yeah. Well, she certainly has hurt people, right?
Oh yeah.
She had her job because she was tough and people didn't want to mess with her, right? I mean, she was a hired gun, and she was very good at her job.
Oh yeah.
But I think that as time has progressed, she's taking more responsibility for that. And and that's been a development in the works for a while. So that is kind of important. I think also putting her in prison is going to kind of ease a little bit of the tension of that dynamic between her and Caitlin.
Yeah. And I was kind of curious to see, like, where she goes, because this coming up episode this Tuesday, it's the people versus Killer Frost. It's right. Like, oh my gosh, like, where is this going to go? How are they going to get her out of prison? Or is she going to be in prison the entire time? And it's going to be like, because we always go back to themes. There's always something that occurs again and again and again, maybe in different ways. But now we're seeing someone in prison in The Flash, and someone not in prison going to visit that person in prison. It's like, oh, okay, here we are again.
Yeah.
I've always liked those prison scenes. I don't know what it is about those, but I thought those were always good.
I mean, I think that for a lot of heroes, we see that is something that happens a lot, right? We have Barry, who spent time in prison. We had Oliver Queen, who spent time in prison.
Mm-hmm.
I think Black Lightning might have. No. And
it seems like...
Yeah, it does seem to be a theme, and so I'm not surprised if she were to go there. It will be interesting. As we found out, though, things rarely get better once they end up behind bars.
Yeah, and she can't use her powers because they put the Metacuffs on her. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like by the end of the season, at least, Frost will end up getting out of that situation, as they always do. Right. They never stay in prison. I mean, even Henry Allen got out of prison, and no one ever thought he would. Even Vaughn got out of prison in the future. So, I mean, we pretty much can assume that she will get out of prison.
Right.
If she even stays there. It could be one of those one-episode deals where, like, by the end of the episode, they strike a deal, like all Suicide Squad style or something. Maybe they'll bring in Suicide Squad, and then that's how she gets out, by going and joining the Suicide Squad for a couple of weeks, which would be interesting. They've already had, like, several of those characters in the Arrowverse in one way or another, so I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, to do something like that.
That would be a really cool twist.
And I kind of, before we, like, moved away from Flash completely, I did want to, like, jump forward to something that's going to happen near the end of the season, and that's the announcement of Bart Allen, who's going to be coming in to the show in the 150th episode, which I believe is, like, the next to last episode of the season. I think it was 18 episodes this year, and I think he's coming in episode 17 or so, and that's the 150th episode. And I heard that also in one of Pagey's videos, which I love his videos, he's very, like, he digs and finds stuff out. And I've kind of had a few disagreements with him in the past, but I mean, I overall, he's probably, like, my favorite as far as, well, aside from us, but, like, we don't really, like, dig deep and have insider information. We just talk about what we see. But he's one of my favorites as far as that stuff goes. And he was mentioning, like, on one of his videos that it was reported or whatever that not only is Bart Allen coming in, but it's also been reported that Jessica Parker Kennedy was in Vancouver filming or about to film.
I heard about that too.
So the question is, of course, in his video, it's assumed that she's going to be, of course, Nora West Allen, but maybe she's going to be something entirely different. Maybe it'll be a Speed Force form that changes because it would be closely linked to Barry, and with Bart being a speedster also, like that, it could all be tied in. But I think, and then John Wesley Shipp also was supposedly up there doing a quarantine for filming. So all three of them. And so it's going to be really interesting. Are we going to have a Jay Garrick, which we haven't seen Jay Garrick yet after Crisis. So is this going to be the Jay Garrick from Stargirl? Is this going to be, Jay Garrick that we know already? Or is it going to be a different Jay Garrick entirely? Like, we don't know. So that's what's interesting about it. And then there's Bart Allen. And is he going to come in as a speedster? Which, of course, he has to because he's from the future. So, but we also assume that Bart Allen is going to be from the future. It could be a future, like a flash forward, where we don't see him interacting now, but later. Who knows? Like, it's all interesting. And the one big thing about that character that everybody seems to be really mad about is it's their son and not their grandson. Which I don't mind that, because the TV world is completely different than the comic book world. And nobody seemed to get too upset that Wally West was Iris's brother instead of her nephew. So I really don't think this is any different.
Right. That's the first time they've taken creative license with the character.
No. And then Bart Allen in Smallville was never really mentioned where he was from. It was kind of like open-ended. The comic book later, after the series, explained that he was from the future. But in the show, he's just like, dude, I don't know. I woke up in a field. And that's all I remember. Okay, bye. And then would zip off for 10 episodes and come back like, hey, here's a burrito from Mexico. So it's cool that this character is going to be a little bit more in depth. It's the second Bart Allen we've seen on TV, and it's going to be really cool to see where they take it. And yet again, the casting is great because they somehow found a person that looks like they could be the child of these two actors. Like, it looks just like them. I think it's great casting. And it'd be cool to see how them having a son. I just hope that at some point we see them have a child for real in this timeline instead of having these future kids that are older than them.
Well, I mean, that would require Iris to actually get pregnant.
And we know she can because the future children keep popping up.
Right.
And then get erased from existence. And then, well, maybe Bart doesn't get erased from existence. I hope not, because that's a good character. But and XS was a good character too. But yeah, I think that was one of those rumors going around that at the end of the season, at least by the end of the season, she'll be pregnant. And then the question is, I think it's likely that, Bart and Nora will be twins. I think that's what's going to happen. And it's people will get mad about that because it's not the right twins. They're not the right characters. No, but it doesn't have to be 100% carbon copy of what we've seen, because we've already seen that. So, I mean, I'm hoping that they are, twins at least, because Crisis definitely would have changed that. Or maybe Bart existed this whole time, but no one ever had mentioned him. He could have already existed when Nora came back. He could have been there in the future. Maybe he was born after Nora. Maybe he's younger than Nora from that time. Who knows? But no, he could have been born after Nora because Barry went missing for 25 years and never came back.
Right. So the fact, though, that Barry never disappeared, it frees him to have a lot more babies. So
yeah. And in the comics, some of those Flash, I think it was the Rebirth comics, I read some of those. They had several speedsters. Because the speedstorm that created Godspeed created tons of speedsters. And I think, we're supposed to see the real Godspeed this year, I've heard, which we're halfway through the season and not even a mention, not even a peep, not even a zoom in, hey, it's me again, zoom out. Oh, what if Bart Allen is Godspeed?
Oh, gosh.
Whoa. I mean, who knows?
That would be a twist.
Yeah, definitely a twist.
All right. What other shows have you kept up
on? The King of Queens on Peacock. No.
Oh, gosh.
I've been binge watching that show.
I liked King of Queens, but Did you watch Supergirl?
I think I missed Supergirl. I think this past week I've just missed everything except for Flash. I forgot to watch Flash on Tuesday night when it came on because I'd worked that day. It was like my second day at work. Came home. I took a nap at like 3:30, and then woke up at like no, it was about. I started to take a nap at 3:30, and then woke up at like 9 or 10 o'clock or something like that. It was ridiculous, and I was like, "Why did I do this?" I was actually off on Wednesday. But still, it was really awkward Wednesday because I slept almost the entire day. But I did watch Flash later on the next day, and but I think that was all I caught this week. So I really do need to go back and fully catch up. I've seen videos online and stuff, but I haven't seen the full episodes.
So I will tell you that the surprising episode this week was from Black Lightning.
Okay.
In Black Lightning, they dropped the pilot episode of the new Painkiller series.
I'd heard about that, yeah.
And so, yeah, I had really been wondering how that was going to play out, and the kind of the tie-in to it is that Painkiller and his team, they've gotten themselves set up in a far-off city, and we see Thunder and her new wife. They're on their honeymoon, and they end up in the same city where Painkiller is. And they end up kind of fighting each other at the beginning, and end up kind of getting an understanding and alliance. But Painkiller kicks serious ass. And what they do that's really good is they really work hard on showing off the internal struggle that Painkiller is dealing with, right? Kind of the realization that there are those two sides, that side of Khalil being about self-control, and that side of Painkiller that is that survival instinct, and kind of learning to find that balance. I think there's a lot of potential in that pilot.
Yeah, I hadn't gotten a chance to see that, but I mean, I have heard a lot about it, and I heard a lot of people comparing that character to Oliver Queen and the Green Arrow, and I'm thinking, like, I saw one headline that said, like, the CW has finally found a replacement for Oliver Queen. I'm just, no way, you stop it. But I mean, I hadn't got a chance to see it, but all I know is, like, it's a really rich guy with a lot of cool gadgets and weapons and a secret bunker and all that stuff, and it's enough to be interested in it and want to see more of that. And I think hopefully, like, that show, they say it's getting a backdoor pilot spinoff. Hopefully that gets picked up. I hope something gets picked up, because I really wanted to see where Green Arrow and the Canaries would have went, but unfortunately that didn't happen. But
yeah, and that's my concern is, these shows, they're trying to kind of build up viewership for these characters, but they don't have a very good track record of picking up these spin-off shows. And so that's my only concern, is that I might get attached to this idea of a Painkiller show that is never going to be.
Yeah, and I mean, I got attached to, not super attached, but the Green Arrow and Canaries show, because I wanted to see that story continue. I kind of, like, a lot of people hated on the future Mia and future William and all these characters, but I really enjoyed those. I thought they were interesting. I thought they were fun, and I'm hoping that maybe somewhere down the line we get to see more of those characters.
Yeah,
somehow, like, woven into other shows, but who knows what's going to happen with that. Hopefully something. I mean,
so I will say it is worth the watch. If you haven't seen it already, go check it out. And I don't know whether they're gonna keep giving us more of that as the show continues, or if that was just the one little bit that we get to kind of whet our appetite. But
yeah, and there was that other thing I wanted to throw out here, and it's not related to Arrowverse or any of these shows, but I want to throw this other. I put it up on Twitter, but I think this is funny, so I want to mention it on here. Right. Jaleel White is coming out with his own line of marijuana products called Purple Urkel.
Yes.
And I just wanted to show the graphic up here because of him as Steve Urkel again. And I thought that was genius. I mean, thoughts on his new merchandise aside, it's just really cool to see Steve Urkel doing something. And the guy looks like he hasn't aged a day since like 1998.
Doesn't it make you sick?
It's ridiculous because it's like he has everything still. I mean, he's probably maybe got one more wrinkle right here than he did 30 years ago or whatever. But like aside from that, maybe a little bit taller. But I mean, he looks the same.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous.
I think they must have probably cryogenically frozen him.
Or they de-aged him.
Right.
Which is something that kind of, I didn't think about talking about this, but it's, mentioned de-aging, the new Spider-Man. I mean, we don't normally talk about Marvel stuff a lot. I mean, why the screen get smaller?
But we should.
Yeah, we should. We should start talking more about other stuff because this isn't like a DC show necessarily.
No, I was you were going somewhere else. I'll you go where you were going.
Well, I was just going to bring up the fact that the new Spider-Man coming out later this year, I believe it is. Or no, it's next year, maybe. I think it's next year. Spider-Man: No Way Home, which is the third solo Spider-Man movie under the Marvel Sony partnership with this character and everything. We know, and we've heard a lot more information over the last couple of days about Alfred Molina, who played Dr. Octopus, Dr. Otto Octavius, in the original Spider-Man 2, is back as that character, as that same version of that character from that timeline and that movie universe. They're bringing him back, and we know now that they're doing the de-aging technique on him to de-age him back to that moment where we see him floating away in the river at the end of that movie. His character picks up immediately at that moment.
Okay.
And so it's going to be interesting. Doctor Strange maybe is involved. I don't know. Some sort of time travel or like multiversal jumping around is going to be going on with that. It has to be. And this is legit news because the man himself has been talking about it lately.
Right. I will say that I love him as a character. He's such a great actor.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I thought he had done a great job playing Doc Ock.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the question though is, we know that his Dr. Ock played with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. How is that going to correlate with the current Spider-Man?
Yeah, that's the question. I think there's probably going to be an aspect of some villain wanting to gather other villains to group them together to go after maybe our new Spider-Man or Tom Holland Spider-Man. And in the process, it's kind of like you jump in and pick this person out. You jump in and pick that person out. Sort of like how Legends of Tomorrow was, but on the other side of things. And I think I'm hoping that means we also see Tobey Maguire. I'm hoping it also means we see Andrew Garfield. I mean, I know Andrew Garfield isn't everybody's favorite Peter Parker or Spider-Man, but if you're going to do a multiverse and you're going to do this Spider-Verse live-action kind of thing, you have to have everyone that's been Spider-Man. I mean, why? They've already got Electro, played by Jamie Foxx, back in this new movie as well. So you have the main villains from two different Spider-Man universe movies. So you got to have the heroes, I would think, to go along with those villains.
So isn't the next Doctor Strange movie called Multiverse of Madness?
It is, and so that's the thing too, or at least it has a multiversal element in the title. I don't know if it's like that's the exact.
I feel like right now they've talked about the concept of time travel.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't talked at all about the concept of parallel worlds or parallel universes.
Not much. I mean, we saw a small bit of it in the end of Endgame, kind of like a little bit, but not.
It's very Marvel MCU to set up movies that are later on, right? So
right.
they know they're aiming for this Spider-Man No Way Home, and so they're gonna kind of set the stage for the multiverse by introducing it through Doctor Strange and Scarlet Witch. I believe Scarlet Witch is going to be in that one as well.
I think so, and I don't know if they're like this Spider-Man movie seems to be really packed, like so much, and it's interesting because it's like I think Marvel is finally jumping in and saying let's do this, something that the DC TV shows have been doing already for a long time, and that goes back to the whole thing of like DC has better shows, Marvel has better movies. And for some reason, I don't know how that works, but it does. I think it's just
That has been. I will say that up until the last year, I would agree with you
mhm.
that DC has better TV show programming and Marvel has better movies. However, um, part of their plan has been using Disney Plus,
Mhm.
and I know you haven't seen WandaVision yet.
Not yet. I'm planning on it. I mean, now with the new job, I'm sitting here before like cutting back all these services that I don't use as much, but now I'm like I could probably afford to literally have every streaming service, and then watch it. As long as I watch it, I think at least maybe twice a week, I could justify paying for them. Um, Whereas before, Netflix just sat there while watching nothing at all.
Right.
But I really want to get that and watch it.
Yeah, I will say that WandaVision alone is worth the money. And
Hmm.
again, if you had never really felt super connected with Wanda or Vision previously, it really makes you have a connection for them, and it breaks your heart when you see what she goes through. Um, Really, really well written story, and I think that considering what's going to happen coming up in the multiverse of madness with Doctor Strange, you really need to see that story. Uh,
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really known much about other of those characters. I know Vision. I knew more about from the Mind Stone and that whole thing and that whole story. But aside from him, I don't really know much about Wanda or any of that stuff. So it's like I
we
know
have,
who she is, and I'd seen her in the big team up movies, but didn't really know a lot. So I think I really need to see this to really kind of put everything else in maybe a little bit more perspective and see what everybody's talking about.
yeah, I think that a lot of people had thought that Wanda's abilities were simply sort of like, uh, being telepathic and being telekinetic, right? Simply
Hmm.
mental abilities. And what we find out in WandaVision is that she is essentially a chaos witch, right? That she is able to
Hmm.
uh, literally recreate reality. That's essentially what her abilities allow her to do.
That
Um,
makes it a lot more interesting.
yeah, it really does, and especially interesting because she is essentially mentally ill. She has lost Vision dies, right? Uh,
Mm,
and she had to essentially kill Vision in order to destroy the Mind Stone, and
right.
only to watch Thanos rewind time and gouge the Mind Stone out of his forehead. And,
That
and
was messed up.
yeah, and
Mm.
as we find out in the show, she and Vision had planned on getting married. They had a spot picked out in New Jersey for them to go and
Wow.
get together and have a home.
That's kind of random. New Jersey, like, but hey, that's cool.
It would not be the place that, no offense to New Jerseyans, it would not be the place that I would choose. Um, but that was where they had planned it, and then she finds out that the government had swooped in and taken Vision's body, and they refused to give it back.
Well, ET style.
Yes, and so she just has a meltdown.
And let me guess, she gets on a bicycle, puts his body in the basket, and rides and like flies over the moon. And
That just about as epic. And again, I'm not going to spoil it for you.
right.
I will just tell you that again, she loses it, and in that moment of loss, she ends up creating this entire new town, this
Hmm.
perfect town. Um, she brings back Vision, um, a version of him that never died and is the perfect husband, and uh, and that's kind of the concept of WandaVision is that she doesn't want to face the fact that she lost everything.
That's crazy. I mean, I really got to dive into this. I think I want to try when I'm off work on Wednesday, maybe Wednesday night, and just sit down and watch probably every episode straight through.
Yeah, it's very bingeable, and it's got some good twists in it. And again, I
Okay.
think you if you're not a Wanda Maximoff or a Vision fan going into it, you're just kind of curious about them. The show will make you a fan. It is so well done. The other one, since we're talking Marvel, that you need to watch is Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, I've been really tempted with that one too, and I think that's two shows going on right now and I kind of want to watch some of the older movies again. Like I would love to go back and watch like I don't know Iron Man or something, and unfortunately all the Spider-Man movies aren't on Disney. I think they're on Netflix, or somewhere else like the newer Spider-Man movies. I think I read something the other day that said like they secured a deal with Netflix, which really would have been cool to see them go on Disney Plus with everything else. I actually went out and bought the DVDs for the original Tobey Maguire films. I'm just like I've been like diving into like March was Spider-Man month for me.
Right.
And I just the video game, the movies, like all of this, I just Spider-Man. So it made me really want to watch like Civil War again, and Endgame and all those movies, all those big team up movies, which then made me want to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier again. Like not again, as I haven't seen it, but it made me want to watch those.
What's amazing is just like WandaVision, Falcon the Winter Soldier, I think focuses again on characters that have been sort of like the sidekicks. We had seen Falcon and Sam and Bucky as being sidekicks to Captain America.
Yeah,
and what this show really focuses on is the aftermath. This is post. It's after the blip. It's after the events of Endgame. Steve's gone, and both of them are trying to figure out, how do they continue Steve's legacy with him no longer there.
So it's basically like Captain America 4, but stretched out.
But they take it in a very different direction.
Okay.
There are, again, I'm not going to spoil it, but I'm going to try to make it as interesting as I can. Some of the issues, the idea of Sam, being African American from the South, he certainly understands institutional racism, and the idea that a black man is going to potentially inherit Captain America, right? They delve into that quite strongly, and it becomes a major theme of the movie. It also talks a lot about how America treats its soldiers, especially its veterans of color, and so it really does tackle that concept head on. So again, I really love it. It's one of those shows that that my family sits down and watches together, and we really like it.
Yeah, I gotta say too, it's kind of genius the way they're doing these short run series, because it's like a smaller budget than say a huge blockbuster film, but yet you're getting in. They're starting to become, like you said a little bit ago, better with the TV shows, because technically they're shows, but they're really like 7-hour movies or 8-hour movies. So it's really interesting how they're doing that. It's like that platform of like, instead of pumping out like one movie every other year, let's just do a couple of shows and run them over 8 hours or 9 hours, whatever. And you get more story. You get, better, attention, more attention on maybe future shows. I never really got into Daredevil. I don't know what it was. I just couldn't, like all the Marvel shows, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like all these, they never really grabbed me. I don't know what it was. They just didn't. Every DC show I've seen, like, ooh, I love that. But then every DC movie, I'm just like, ugh. So it's this blend of like, this is movie, but not movie. So I love how they do that. Right. And it's like this instant at home. You can watch it right now and see it all.
I think it's really smart, and
Mhm.
they have given it the production quality of a movie, and they've given it a very tight storyline. Right, there's not a lot of extra detail put in there. It is just really tight. You're going to get a clear beginning. You're going to get a clear middle. You're going to get a clear dramatic resolution, and it's going to fit in with everything else they've planned, which I think for me is the most amazing part. Um, Everything that the MCU does is it serves a purpose, and I think
Yeah.
that is something that the DC franchises really could learn from. Is
Yeah, and it's crazy that they tried to do a little bit of that with Justice League, I think, but then they were like, they were trying too much too fast, and it just kind of like blew up on them. Now they're just like, you know what? Let's just not worry about this whole universe. Let's just do different random movies, and they're great. I mean, I love Joker. The new Batman looks interesting, like, but they don't like. You're invested more if they're all interconnected in
right,
some way. I mean, they are toy commercials. At the end of the day, they're still toy commercials, but they're also really great stories. The way the MCU handles their stuff, it's like you have Iron Man, okay, cool. Then you have Captain America, okay, cool. You have the Avengers, okay, cool. Wait a minute, they're gonna team up in this one, and it's like the first, Batman versus Superman. They cram it all together at once, and like listen to all of this happening. Like you don't invest much of your like attention and energy into these characters when they just all show up at the same time for the first time. It's like, oh, you're all here. Okay, cool. Okay, that was neat.
right.
You're not really invested in them as much, I don't think.
Well, it makes it feel rushed. So
Yeah.
what ends up going by the wayside is character development, plot development, right? All those things that make you invested in the characters, they have thrown out the window in order to try to tell a cohesive story and cram as many people in there as they could. I mean,
Hmm.
I went back and watched the Snyder cut. I mean, the reason why the thing is so blasted long is because he didn't want to sacrifice characterization or storyline.
Right.
Um, and but gosh, I mean, unless you're a diehard fan, investing 4+ hours in a movie
Yeah.
is long.
Yeah, I had to watch it over the course of a day and take several breaks in between because,
Oh,
oof, I think each chapter maybe, or because I love how they broke it into chapters. It really could have been a short run series. It could have, what was it, like 6 chapters or something like that, or 7, and but it was still good. It tied it in everything, and I thought it was a great movie. I still want to call it a series, but it was a great movie. A lot of people, hated on it. I don't know why. I mean, I thought it was better than the original Justice League. I mean, just was. I loved how the new Jared Leto Joker at the end, they say is like the one scene that they actually shot, like a new scene that they shot that was never planned. I'm sure they did reshoots of old stuff that was in the original script, but like this was supposed to be like the one scene that wasn't supposed to happen originally that they added later, and I really liked that they did. And I liked his look better this time around. He had longer hair. He was still that weird kind of like personality, but a lot of hate for his laugh. I don't know what it was. A lot of hate for his laugh, but he didn't have the short spiky hair, the teardrop tattoo. Like he wasn't like emo thug Joker. He was, still kind of weird Joker, but his look was better, I think.
it looked to me like everybody in that future uh, end of days scene,
Yeah,
like they were all broken in some way, and even Joker himself seemed um, to be even that much more crazy.
yeah, and it was interesting, and I really hope there's a demand because I think we got this version because there was such a demand for it, and they were like, okay, fine, here. Now I'm hoping that maybe there's enough demand for maybe a sequel or some sort of like restore the Snyderverse is hashtag everywhere now, and they need to if they really want to compete as far as film with against MCU films. That's what they need to do. They need to start connecting things and stick to it instead of rebooting it every 10 minutes.
Right.
Or I don't know how many headlines I've seen online where it says, "Oh, Henry Cavill is done with Superman, or Ben Affleck is done with Batman, which, as it turned out, Ben Affleck was done with Batman. But, all these articles, and that's all you hear about. It's like, who's done playing which character? It's like, okay, well, do something interesting. Do something different. Don't just recast and reshoot, reboot, and all this stuff.
It does make me wonder why we keep, starting over with a different actor. I mean, I feel like that's just it. They did the same thing with Spider-Man, where it was like we changed Spider-Man and we had to go back to high school all over again. Right? Poor kid never got out of high school. He just kept, getting bitten by the spider. I got burned out by that storyline, and I think that it's the same sometimes with Batman.
Mm-hmm.
That we keep rebooting it and essentially telling the same story. It's why I like the Christian Bale version of Batman. Yeah. That for me, that still tops, even though the Michael Keaton was my first Batman that I took seriously. I grew up on the Adam West one as well.
That's why it's unfortunate that I grew up a few years after, because I kind of know into the transition, but the one that sticks out the most as far as a new Batman was George Clooney. I'm not saying that was the best Batman by any means, but that was the one I remember seeing in a movie theater. Like, that's Batman.
Ooh, that's like that's the Batman that I would want to scrub out of my memory.
Yeah, I mean, he was only in the one movie, but still.
There's a reason.
there's a reason.
We never saw another Schwarzenegger in Batman, because that was terrible.
Yeah. Take 2 of these and call me in the morning.
Right.
Like, really, that's the only line I remember him saying, like, at the end when he finally gives Batman the, like, anecdote or whatever it was. But that was along the get to the chopper and, like, all this. But it was not a good quote. It's like, because it's a memorable quote, but from a bad movie. Bat nipples. I mean, come on.
I know. I wanted to like it. I really wanted to like it. But as we found out, there's no saving a bad script or cheesy CGI graphics, it just was, and that's one of those mountains I'm happy to die upon. That George Clooney has earned the title as my least favorite Batman. So.
Yeah, I would agree that he's not the best Batman at all.
It wasn't fantastic either, but
okay, yeah. So I wanted to go ahead and throw out these Twitters because I didn't want to forget about this. We're probably going to wrap it up here in a minute, but I want to start off with at Northwood Pie, because those guys. I don't have Todd and Jay's Twitter ready to go, but you guys are great too. Look up Northwood Pie, and then there, you'll find Todd and Jay. Those guys, they were on here with us not too long ago. And I mentioned pizza earlier, and I keep thinking about those guys. I see them every day on Twitter. It makes me want pizza every day, and I see pizza every day. I don't know. I can't see a pepperoni without thinking of those guys. Which
I will say that as far as Todd and Jay, they are very active and responsive. Right?
They are.
Not every writer, director, actor out there is open to fans, and they've certainly been responsive to people, and so I'm thankful for that. That's really cool.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're watching this right now, but if they see this later, I just wanted to congratulate them because they just received their 50th review, I think, on was it Amazon, I believe? Amazon Prime.
Nice.
For Northwood Pie. And I think that was, I know 50 doesn't seem like a lot to some people, but I think that's really impressive because if you can it's impressive to me that you can just get a movie out there and people watch it.
Right.
And then to have that many people review it, it's like, I want to go get Amazon Prime just so I can review it. And like, here's another one. Yeah. And if I make a pizza at my new job, I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to like try to sneak a picture like when no one's watching because I can't really use my phone at work, but I'm going to be like, hashtag Northwood Pie. I'm doing your job. But yeah, and so those guys are cool. And I'm going to throw all of these out here I don't know why I did Northwood Pie separately. I think I forgot to type it in with the list, but wanted to throw that out there. Of course, Mark Guggenheim, who's awesome as always. He, provided us with the great stuff that we had that we gave away not too long ago, which I still haven't sat and bench watched Arrow or Legends like I planned on. And I want to read the book, but now after you mentioned like not wanting to read yours, I was like, maybe I shouldn't read mine either.
My problem is that I feel like it's been signed. I don't want to ruin it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
there are things.
I was.
I almost wish I had 2 copies.
Right.
One that I could read and dog ear the pages, and one that I could leave in pristine condition. And we'll see what happens. Right now, they're just being displayed.
I've been tempted to go on like digital or whatever and buy or even find other copies of the physical book, but maybe download a digital file of the book and read it on an app on the phone or something and read the book that way, so that at least I still have the physical book. While I read one of the Heroes novels that way. I forget which one it was, but I think I had downloaded those a few of those novels back in the day. One of them told the story of what happens to Claire in between Heroes and Heroes Reborn, how she gets to the point, how she becomes pregnant, like all this stuff. The guy that she meets up, and there's more stories of Peter and all those people. I can't remember all the characters, but those were really interesting. And so I read them that way. And so maybe that's what I'll do with this one. But I kind of want to read it in order. So I kind of want to watch, I think it's Arrow 5.5 season, in the middle of season 5, I think it is when this book takes place. And I want to kind of watch up to that point and then read the book and then continue watching. Similar to the comics that I got during Crisis, the big giant issues that kind of had side stories that tied into Crisis. We saw Felicity go and find things that you don't see. It doesn't show that on Crisis at all. You don't see her at all during lots of that. And then there's another one that has this Council of Luthers, where the John Cryer's Luther is like escaping, and he's like jumping around with his book, trying to like find all these Lex Luthers to help him go kill all the Supermen. And that was a really interesting story. And of course, they have reprints of the original Crisis in those same issues. So I want to read those in order of the Crisis episodes and everything. I'm very particular about order. I don't know what it is with stuff like that. I can't jump around. Like, let me watch season 8, episode 9, and then go watch season 10, episode 2, and then I can't. I gotta watch it in order. That's how I end up watching, a show like King of Queens and been watching every episode. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, every episode. Until I'm done, and then I gotta start doing what some people do and not watch anything old until I watch everything new, and stop binge watching shows that I saw 20 years ago and start watching shows I haven't seen yet.
Well, I mean, I still do it. I mean, I'm a really big Star Trek fan, and I watch almost religiously every night. Before bed, I watch the Star Trek shows that are on TV. So every night I'm watching Next Generation, I'm watching DS9, I'm watching Voyager. So
Next Generation was my favorite Star Trek, and I think I would always race Patrick Stewart when he did his intro, like Captain's Log, Stardate 4. I would always try to beat him and say his line before he got done.
Right.
Because I'd seen it so much that I had it memorized. I can't remember it now. I remember bits and pieces, but I don't remember the whole thing in its entirety. But that was fun. That was just my favorite season overall. I don't know what it is. There was just so much to love about that. And I didn't realize when I was a kid how old it was because I forgot. I didn't realize what a rerun was really. I did. I mean, it's like Little House on the Prairie. That didn't happen yesterday. That happened like a long time ago. But Star Trek, I was like, oh, that's new. That came out yesterday. And in reality, it was like 10 years old at the time. It was like, holy crap. 80s, early 90s. Like, wow.
Well, and there are definitely times when you go back and watch the first season of it, you can really tell that it was very late. It was late 80s. As the show progressed, it definitely was much less dated. But it was
Mm.
almost like when you watch the first season, it did look like space 80s.
And you could like see duct tape holding up buttons on the walls or anything.
It wasn't like BBC, too low budget. Um, they still put the money into it to make it legitimate. But I think the strength of it had always been its writing, right? That
Mm.
the characters were really well thought through. The acting was fantastic. Um, I think that was the big thing. They had some really big shoes to fill.
Hmm.
How do you possibly, call yourself the crew of the Enterprise?
Yeah.
You're gonna be compared with, Captain Kirk or with Spock or Scotty, and yet I really feel legitimately um, that they paid homage to it, and they in some ways improved upon the original. So
I think so. Between the two, those are the only two I had really watched much of. I didn't like Voyager and stuff. Not that there's anything wrong with them. I just think some of the characters, like the one guy looked weird to me as a kid. I'm like, he looks weird. I don't want to watch that one. This is the one with the weird guy. Like, I don't. Some of the aliens and some of like the different species of characters, I don't know.
I'm,
Maybe
I'll,
it was
I'll be honest and say that when the shows were on, I did not particularly like Voyager or
like Deep Space Nine or
Space Nine. They just
yeah,
they weren't bad. They just didn't grab me.
right.
However, going back and rewatching them now, I love them. I really
Okay,
like Janeway as a captain. I think she has a cool crew, and the
and
kind of a
that guy. I don't know his name, but the guy that had the weird head that's like and the weird face, like the scrunched up face and the scrunched up nose and like that weird shaped head.
in Next Generation.
No, it was I believe it was maybe Deep Space Nine or Voyager. I can't remember. I'm just thinking I find a picture of him or something like this weird smushed up face guy, Star Trek.
Yeah, you're thinking of Neil.
Maybe. Um
Was he the chef?
he might have been. It's been so long now. I don't let's see. Weird.
Weird spruced up face guy.
Actually, I started typing Star Trek weird face, and there was already a suggestion for Star Trek weird face guy.
Okay.
Yeah, Quark. Yeah, he had like the weird, like his forehead morphed with his ears, and then like, see if I can pull this picture up.
Okay. So Quark is DS9.
And okay, I couldn't remember which one it was. I could not remember, but yeah, people out there that are wondering what the crap I'm even talking about, like, what are you talking about? Who is this guy? We see him, right here. This dude, and I'm like, okay. I guess as a kid, I thought he looked really weird. I don't know what it was, but
yeah, he's just a frame. I mean, that's what they all look like.
yeah, I guess I didn't pay attention that much. I'm like, he's weird and scary. I don't like him, but
So I will
that
say
actually
you,
looks better.
this is just how nerdy I really am, or geeky. I think probably more geeky than nerdy. But I've actually been to Star Trek: The Experience in Las Vegas.
Okay, that's
So
cool.
for the longest time, it was essentially an amusement park ride in the Flamingo Hilton in Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a totally immersive ride. Um, and what was great about it was that it was essentially like a Star Trek museum that literally takes you through a timeline of the Star Trek show all the way through the current series. Um,
Wow.
then you get and then you get you get on the ride, and normally, like if you go to Disneyland or to an amusement park or whatever, you get on the ride and you get the introduction on the screen of what's going on, and right in the middle of it um, we get teleported or beamed up off of the ride onto the real Enterprise. And
That's crazy.
yeah, so there you are now. You're beamed up onto the real Enterprise, and then they're giving you this tour with Enterprise crew actors. They take you to the bridge, and you find out that we had been intercepted. There was an issue with the Klingons, and it was really really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how they did it, but it was probably one of the best rides I've ever been on. But one of the neat things about that place is that once you get off the ride, they let you off in the gift shop, and then right by the gift shop is Quark's Bar, which was a legitimate restaurant. So not like not just a novelty spot where but people in full on costume, people dressed up as Klingons, people dressed up as Ferengi. You can go to Quark's Bar and order drinks and actual food.
Wow,
it was quite amazing.
That's really cool. Actually, that makes me really want to experience that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because it was such a kind of a niche market. I don't want to think about how much money it took for them to go and create that and maintain it. But it really was an amazing place to go and visit. It's not open anymore.
I figured it probably wasn't, because all the good things end before I get to do them.
They really do. But that was one of those. Sometimes you go out there and you spend $25 on a ride, and you go, that was a complete waste of time.
Yeah.
We went to Hershey, Pennsylvania, after all these years of everyone going, "Oh, we got to go to Hershey," and we hated it. This was not that kind of experience. It was absolutely worth it. So I'm just sad that we can't do it anymore.
That is sad. Actually, I forgot to mention our Twitter handles here.
That's important.
Yeah, follow us on Twitter. I mean, follow those guys too, but follow us at Pod and Hard Place on Twitter. I'm noticing a lot more activity going on there. People liking the tweets we put out, and that's really cool and interesting. And I got super excited that I tweeted out when I was eating a can of chips. And I quoted it as sometimes you just gotta let the hard to reach chips go. And Mr. Brad O'Halloran, who plays Dante Hicks in Clerks, liked the tweet. I just lost my mind on that when Kevin Smith also liked that same tweet.
And Marilyn Gigliotti.
Yes, that's right. I'm sure. I don't think Scott Schiaffo was on Twitter, but I'm sure he would have liked it as well. And I thought, wow, that got so much attention on that one tweet. So it just made me really hope for let's get all of them on here at once, please. And I could just get my hands stuck in a jar or whatever, and then just.
Who knew though that it would be you taking a picture of a can of chips with your hand in it that would get there.
I know, it's like, hey, Brian, how are you, sir? And all this stuff, all polite and easy going. Then it's just like, oh, look, my hand is stuck in chips. He's like, oh, that's hilarious. I'm like, really? That's it?
I know.
I've gotten Kevin Smith's attention a few times doing that, just goofy tweets about him. And he's like, oh, I love that. Because my former girlfriend used to tease me about how I was in love with Kevin Smith and how we would hold hands and skip through a meadow together and all this ridiculous stuff.
Because it's true.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if he was here, it's like, hey, man, come on, let's go hold hands and skip. I mean, totally would do that with him.
I think he'd be down, actually.
I tweeted those to him, a lot of those stories, and he liked it. He never responded, but he liked it. So I was like, cool. So yeah, follow him too. I don't have his Twitter on hand. I know it. It's at that Kevin Smith.
We're going to run out of space for all of these.
Yeah.
Twitter handles.
And then, of course, mine is at Stephen Colton, and then at CJ Kirk 1979, which is so much better than. Well, I wish I could remember it now. It's like 145292262 or something. I don't know.
Like a board designation. It was like I I was really kind of embarrassed by that. I was like,
I liked it.
that isn't going to work. So I'm glad that I ditched it. I put on a new one, that I think is more reflective of me.
Yeah, I think it works. In mine, I was just lazy. I was just put my name. I was like, just type my name. I wasn't very creative at all.
Well, I wish that I could just put down, Chris underscore Kirkpatrick.
Mhm.
That had already been taken.
Yeah, it's weird, that some names sometimes. And mine, same thing. Like it wasn't taken, but other websites and other things, I try to put my first and last name or just my first name, and it's already taken. It's like, oh, okay. And you're all sad and everything, and it's just like, man, I guess I'll have to be 19252.
Right.
Or whatever. Or underscore dot.
If you need me to make up random numbers for you, Steven, I'm actually really good at that. So
745292.
Right.
322.
Now you could give yourself Oliver Queen's prison number. Now,
yeah, I could do that. I could do that one. No, I kind of want a number on my name.
Well, you can always go back and change it.
I'm thinking about it. I think I might. It's going to be an early morning. So probably going to kind of get going with this one now. And I'm not even tired, but I probably should try to lay down at some point because I think I got to be at work in like 8 hours or something.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I'm glad I did this episode tonight. Part of me was like, maybe it's too late. Maybe I'm too tired. But no, I didn't want to take more than a week off. I've got to catch up on some shows though. It seems like
if you don't catch up on your shows, then I end up monologuing. So
yeah, it's like, ladies and gentlemen, it's like the Jimmy Kimmel Show or something, and I'm Guillermo. I'm like, right. Hello, Jimmy. Hello, Mr. Jimmy. Yeah, I need to catch up, and maybe by next week, in a week from now, I'll have watched all the other shows we talked about in full. Because I think a week's enough time. I think maybe I'll probably watch another 3 or 4 episodes of King of Queens before falling asleep. But I love watching. It's like one of those comfort shows. A show like that because it makes you laugh, and I don't think they had a bad episode. And I loved Jerry Stiller. I mean, amazing.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad that he's been gone for some time now, but still, he made that show. I think he was the glue for that show. Honestly, I think he was the real star of that show. Of course, I love Kevin James too. I don't want to take away from his skills, but
was it Taya Leone or no?
I'm trying to remember now. I feel bad. I'm like, I remember them, but I don't remember everybody else. But there was so much about that show that was good. So much.
I think it was clever. It was really tight.
Yeah. One of my favorite moments is like there was a 3-episode kind of story where their company was on strike. They were on strike and everything. And it was just so funny. There's so many moments. And at the beginning of the episode, the first one, Arthur comes up and looks at the calendar. He's like, according to this, Jesus is coming today. And she's like, no, Dad, that's Jesus. He's the gardener or something. It was just hilarious because the look in his face, he was like dead set. I'm like, Jesus is coming. Like, I don't know. It was silly, but it was really funny. But yeah, all right. Well, it's been a good episode, I think, and I look forward to next week, and hopefully we have a lot more to talk about, depending on how Flash goes this week.
I know.
Hopefully, it's good and not some "We Are the Flash."
No filler.
I love you filler episode.
Let's help all of our enemies, and give them preachy, lengthy lectures about not being bad anymore.
And loving each other, and then everything's just magical and goes away, and we realize how embarrassed we are when we didn't think of this 8 weeks ago.
I know, you're like, I know you're a killer, but have you just considered not killing anymore?
You know what?
I never really considered that, but now I'm going to kill people with kindness.
You don't want to do this? Oh, wait, you're right. I don't. I mean, it worked for Frost, but I mean,
The end.
yeah. Oh, by the way, your friend is really your enemy at the end.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, it still has some good stuff in between, I think, but you can't have everything be home runs, I guess. Not every single moment. Okay, so yeah, that was fun, and we will talk next week about the Flash, about maybe a few new things that I got to see that I haven't seen yet, and more.
All
right here on this show. And I'm getting tired, so I'm just like, I don't know what to say now.
You're rambling. We'll just say good night and have a great week, and we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, we'll see you guys next time. Take care.
All right. Good night.
See ya.